My perfectionism story. I had to repeat the second or the third grade, I can't quite remember, because I was always daydreaming in class of more shiny things. So I began to feel like a failure and a loser, that I wasn't good enough to be with the other kids. I also frequently had to stay inside during recess so that I could get my work done, which made me feel more and more alienated. In college, I picked the wrong major. I went into engineering, mechanical, and I struggled a lot. Passed calculus 1 and in Cal 2 and in engineering, physics, and beyond is where I really began to struggle. It required me to hold a lot more information in my head and to follow a very rigid, linear pathway to thinking. It didn't coincide with my thinking wavelength. You can check out at iloveshinyobjects.com/thinking. I was on one end of the spectrum, the way I naturally think, and the way I had to solve problems was on the other end. So all of these reasons caused me to spend 5 years in college, and I only got my associate's degree. I never finished my bachelor's in engineering. This made me feel so embarrassed and such like a failure again, and like it alienated me from other people. It inhibited me from having long-term friendships because I didn't want people to know, what a screw up I was and how imperfect I was. Around the middle years of college, this is the thing that really punched perfectionism deep within my heart, was when my dad told me I would never amount to anything in my life. That if perfectionism wasn't bad before, it got really bad then. And it just seared in my heart that the only way I would be worthy of love is if I was perfect. In my career, after I worked in the corporate world for roughly 3 years, I started my own business helping people with ADHD, because that's something I've always struggled with, shiny object syndrome. I spent roughly 10 years, a decade, getting my business perfect before launching, and it caused me so much embarrassment, shame, alienation from my friends. And these last couple years of marriage, especially this last 6 months, has been incredibly painful in my marriage. So I know the pains of perfectionism all too well. I thought trying to be perfect or being perfect would bring me more love and acceptance, but instead, it only brought me less of those things, which I deeply wanted and needed in life. Perfectionism and SOLs, or people with ADHD. What's the connection? So SOLs, are those of us with ADHD, typically have more failures in their life. We struggle with single focusing on things that aren't so shiny, so this leads to a lot more failures, scolding, and being yelled at, things that weren't true while we were growing up, like I was. Typically, this leads to something psychologists refer to as ANTs. It stands for automatic negative thoughts. Their common thought patterns are ways of thinking that aren't correct, but that we default to because of the stuff that happened to us. So these ants often exacerbate or make things related to perfectionism much worse. And we, SOLs or ADHDers, have this ingrained sense or feeling that we don't belong, that we don't quite fit in this world, that we are square pegs being shoved by others and sometimes ourselves into the round holes of this world. All of these points cause a strong desire for some of us to overcompensate so people won't see our flaws, and perhaps they will love us, value us, and accept our squareness. What's sad is that we will run down all our corners to get the emotions we so desperately crave from others. How to help with perfectionism, how to overcome perfectionism. So there's 4 main topics we're going to cover, and this is the first one, to show yourself those deep emotions that you so desperately crave. Work at becoming your own best friend in life. Commit to keep trying to talk to yourself and look at yourself like your best friend in the world would. Or what would you imagine the best person or friend in the world say to you at that particular moment in time? So this is the exercise. Go off in nature somewhere. The reason for this is it helps your brain see things differently or from a new perspective. And think about what you typically do to try to be perfect in life. Then ask yourself why you have to get some things done perfectly. What's the reason? And what's the real reason? What's that deep emotion that's driving you? Emotion stands for external motion. So these emotions are causing these external things. Keep asking yourself why till you get to those primary root emotions. Identify and clarify what's fact and the feelings that you're treating them as if they were facts. Get a wise, loving counsel or godly counsel to help you separate these two things. You can't force the world to change, but a change of your perspective can change your world. Try to catch yourself when those emotions you identified and clarified are triggered in your day-to-day things, and make a healthy habit that you always go through when you feel it. These will help lead you to living those core deep emotions you so desperately crave and that are driving you to be perfect. The second big thing that will help is to change your perspective. I'm going to go through a list of common day-to-day things, primarily work-focused, that if you change your perspective on these things will drastically help with your perfectionism. The first change of perspective is to know that doing more things perfectly will never give you more of those emotions you crave. But living in the moment, remembering who you are, because that's who God says you are, and He knows everything, are examples of what will. Another, change your perspective. While working on projects or tasks, ask yourself this filter question. Does blank need to be done perfectly? Or would 90%, 80%, etc. work better in this particular task or assignment? If you're not sure, ask your boss. Maybe he just needs a rough draft or an executive summary. It's very common. But clarifying with him what percentage level of perfect he or she needs and would think would be wisest given all the other projects you have on your plate. Is this the best use of my time or the company's time is another good filter question to ask. The third, change your perspective from how others think about you to how you can help them. This primarily helps when you're communicating with others and you feel those negative perfection emotions coming up that you identified in the first how to help. Do this by changing the focus off yourself and turning it to them. How can you help them, serve them, or remember your meaningful why, reason you are doing what you wanted to do in the first place? If you have your own business, you need to keep refocusing off your own ideas and emotions and refocusing on your customers' thoughts and emotions, helping and serving them. When you start worrying what others think about you, let that be the trigger to refocus on how you can help and serve them instead. Doing that will bring you so much more joy than trying to be perfect ever will. The fourth, change your perspective from the reward or the goal to enjoying and finding fulfillment in the process every day. Focus on the impact you are making and the difference you are making every single day for yourself, others, and your field at large. Or on the small improvements you are making in your life or your work life, more than the fast, fleeting feeling you get from trying to be perfect. There is a walkway or a sign very close by here that says, "The journey is the reward." It says that's an old proverb. Close your eyes and imagine old you rocking in your rocking chair and reflecting over your life. What are the wonderful things you want your life to have entailed? If you worked on achieving your goals in the last two videos, add these to the second journaling exercise under things you truly value in life. Review this daily and imagine yourself at the beginning of each day implementing these things throughout the day. This will help you keep more in the moment and the things and emotions that really matter to you in life. You will fulfill more of those, and you will fill your soul more as well. The fifth, I believe, change your perspective. Realize that it's not your perfectionism that makes you do things well. It's actually two other more specific things: your drive and your commitment. The drive perfectionism causes us to put forth is so much more effort than most people will ever put out or apply, and that they will stick with or commit to. These are the things that really lead us to be successful. But there are other drivers, some that are unhealthy, like perfectionism, and you can take the quiz on the black box of this webpage, iloveshinyobjects.com/blog/goals. It's valuable to know these key drivers or these things that motivate you so you can do better in your work and your life. It's only $7, but it could lead you to tens of thousands of dollars in raises or promotions throughout your entire career. Here's some quotes that reinforce these points I just mentioned. A river cuts through rock, not because of its power, but because of its persistence. James Watkins. If there is a will, there is a way. My grandma. Given enough time and effort, we can all do amazing things, but we must learn to manage or overcome our perfectionistic tendencies, or we will get burned out, stressed out, or beat ourselves up with our own words that we say to ourselves to the point we can't function well, if at all. The sixth, change your perspective to start accepting positive comments instead of immediately rejecting them or dismissing them. Embrace them. Don't diminish them. Show your appreciation for that person who told you and tell them thank you. They are revealing to you a more clear perspective than your perfectionistic thinking is allowing you to see right now. Seventh, change your perspective. to when you hit a certain percentage of perfection, that equals perfection now. When things are in a good enough range, give it to the world. Get feedback on it and make it just 1% better each time you go back to it. 1% every day for an entire month will make whatever you're working on pretty amazing by the end of the month. And remember, good things take time. So stop putting so much weight on your shoulders in such a short amount of time. 7th, change your perspective. That the quality of your work will be more quickly reached if you spend more time doing than planning. There's no way to accommodate for every variable in your planning. Most of us perfectionists will spend 80% of our time planning or more and only 20% or less time doing. You need to reverse those two. Spend 20% of your time planning or less. Try to make this like a game if possible, to do it as fast as possible, the planning phase. And then spend 80% or more of your time doing. Because as you do more, you will realize more of what doesn't work and other experiments you should try or do instead. You aren't God/perfect and can't guess what will work the best just by planning alone. You will find what works best faster by doing, retrying, and testing. 8th, change your perspective. If you're afraid to make mistakes, you need to evaluate them. You need to equate them as stop signs. That direction didn't work, so let's put a stop sign up and try a different direction now. They actually help you. They won't hurt you, mistakes. Mistakes are natural and everybody makes them. And mistakes are an important part of the growing process. They help you know that something needs to change so you can learn and reflect and try the next wisest guess or experiment in the direction that might work instead, which helps you be more wise, discerning, and helps you out in every facet of your life. And even in other areas, for example, like when you're with your wife and your kids. And remember, discovering a problem doesn't mean that you have to start over. Like start way back at the replanning stage and replan out everything because you hit this roadblock or this stop sign. It just means that you have to change your perspective to find a way to overcome it. The last change your perspective is to test your beliefs and perspectives. Do small experiments to see which ones of them are true and which are not, or are hurting you. The third way to help overcome perfectionism is to find relationships that will love you regardless of how perfect you are or not. For example, a spouse that will see you away, whoever you marry is so important in your life for being a soul or someone with ADHD all around and in this particular area as well. A job where people, or at least your boss, will see you this way, and good friends or a church family that will as well. Also, you want them to believe that you are enough just the way you are, regardless of what you do, how much you accomplish, or how perfect you are. If you can't find this in any of your relationships in life, please don't get depressed. You can always find it in a relationship with Jesus Christ. Exercises. Write down everything that is not good enough or perfect enough in your life. Also, write down the big picture on each of those tasks or projects. Then go to the sweetest, most loving person you know and ask them to write what they see and know about you. Then ask them to read what they wrote out loud. Ask them if they would still love you and accept you regardless. If each of these things are if each of those things were perfect or not. You need to realize the way you think others see you is not always right. And this exercise will help with that. Find people you can be imperfect around and practice being imperfect with them. Make it fun or funny. Taking this a step further to help you find people you don't know to be imperfect in front of, you can find groups like Toastmasters, where they're very just nice and accepting and warm for newbies, trying to learn how to public speak. They do a really good job. The last way to help, I think, or the second to last way, is work with a pro to help you out. A coach can help you give you the emotions you so deeply crave, which we covered. Change your perspective in those places you need to. They can often more clearly see it than you can. Give you a relationship where you will be loved and cared for and accepted, even though you aren't perfect all the time. Or seeking help from a therapist can help you uncover those emotions that are likely rooted deep back or way back in your childhood that have caused your perfectionism. The 3 R's and why. The first R is the roadmap that you see on the screen. The second is review. Today you learn how to overcome your perfectionism by showing yourself the emotions you so deeply crave was the first one. The second was to change your perspective in those areas where your perfectionism rear its ugly head. The third was to find relationships that will love you and accept you regardless of how perfect or imperfect you are. And the fourth was to find and work with a professional to help you, either a therapist, psychobehavioral therapist, psychologist, or a coach that specializes in this sort of thing. Third R is to respond. If you want the shiny object checklist, that's the Cliff Notes version of this entire video. Click on the first link in the comment below. That will take you to the blog post. It'll be in that first black box that you see. Or if you want a faster, easier, more convenient way to apply these perfectionism principles or how to overcome perfectionism in your life, click on the second link in the first comment. I pinned it below. Third is a Patreon link. $7 helps you not to have to imagine a world without iloveshinyobjects.com and these helpful YouTube videos. And $7,000 gets you or your business in one of these videos. So why do we do this shiny stuff? It's to help you work smarter and faster so that you can have more time in your life with the shiny objects you truly love. Our goal for you is not necessarily more money, promotions, or praise. Our goal for you is to give you more time to get lost in the shiny objects that give you joy and meaning in life. And hopefully, those shiny objects will leave a great impact on this world when you are gone. So no more feeling bad or being hard on yourself for getting distracted. I dare you to be different. I challenge you every week to work just a little smarter and more efficiently so that you can devote just a little more time each week with the shiny objects you truly love. Have a shiny month, souls. If you think you'll forget the next shiny 7th video at 7 a.m., just hit the subscribe button and the notification bell below, and you'll be automatically notified when that goes up. Thank you so much for your shiny object love and time, and we have hoped we have helped you out in some small shiny